Hello students, welcome back to the channel. Today we will learn about double fertilization, syngamy, triple fusion and more terms like these. So let us learn about this thing. This is not very briefly mentioned in NCERT but has appeared in board exams previously. So let us learn about this thing. Now firstly you have a female reproductive part as you can see here, and I hope you know about the male reproductive part. You can see here. So male reproductive part includes an anther and a filament. This anther part contains pollen grains. These pollen grains are actually sent on the female by the help of natural factors like air, water, wind, etc. Right, and factors that are determined by insects. Like insects will sit here on the anther and then carry it to the stigma part of the plant. So now here, or maybe same part of the flower. So this all is very much clear to you all, so I won't discuss more in this video. Now further, if we look here, now these pollen grains have stick to the stigma part of the female reproductive system. So now from here, what they will do, we know about the chemotropism, right? We know about the chemotropism. So basically the chemicals the chemicals here attract and form a pollen tube which attracted to the ovules. So let us learn about this thing. We know about chemotropism very well. If you don't, then you can watch my other videos. Now here I am making a pollen tube. Now with this pollen, these pollen grains have two male gametes. Now see this thing. This is a pollen tube that has been created. Now each male, keep this in mind, very very important. Each pollen grain or each male gamete has two. Each pollen grain has two male gametes, right? Each pollen grain has two male gametes. These two male gametes will travel to the bottom. Now here you can see that this is all closed, right? But here is an opening here. Okay, this has all been erased, so we'll just draw it once again. Now you can see that this black part that I have drawn here is basically an opening. This opening has a very important role in the fertilization, since these male gametes will enter through this opening, and this opening is also called as microfile. Okay, so now what will happen? Now these male gametes which are blue in color will now enter here. These male gametes have entered. We know that each pollen grain has two male gametes. So now this has entered here. Now we can see that here is basically the ovules are sitting here. So I'll just draw the ovules with pink color. So this is in one ovule, and now these male gametes, there are two male gametes, right? So there are two male gametes. We're gonna and then two polar nuclei are also sitting here. So in the above structure, we can say that two polar nuclei are sitting here. Two polar nuclei. Right? Now this pink part is known as the ovule. Right, this much we know. Now you need to know, most people don't know about the polar nuclei, but I hope now you know it. Now we know that two male gametes have come. So one male gamete will come and fuse with ovule, and the other male gamete will fuse with these two polar nuclei. Right, now let us go further into the topic. Now see here, we saw two things. Let us summarize them. Two polar nuclei, right? Now two polar nuclei plus one male gamete will give us triple fusion, will form a triple fusion. Right, three things. So triple fusion. So okay, this is the triple fusion. This is what we have learned. So now when polar nuclei are fertilizing with one male gamete, they are doing the triple fusion. Now what is the product of this triple fusion? This process is called as triple fusion product. Let us look at the product of this triple fusion. So the product of the triple fusion is none other than This thing is known as endosperm. Okay, this thing is known as endosperm. Now, now let us look at the second thing. Here we had one ovule plus one male gamete, right? Now this will form, ovule plus one female gamete will form zygote. Okay, so I hope this much is clear. The first product that is coming out will be zygote, which will further develop into embryo. Now this zygote will develop into embryo. I hope this thing is clear till here. Now this thing is developing to embryo. Now we have this thing called as endosperm, right? Now what is the use of endosperm? We know that embryo is very useful since it is the seed. It is going to form the seed, right? So this is going to harden and form the seed. Now where does the nutrition, like in female reproductive system, placenta is basically providing nutrition to the baby, right? To the little baby, placenta is providing the nutrition. Now here endosperm acts as the placenta, right? Endosperm is providing nutrition to embryo. So now afterwards this embryo will get this nutrition and harden up to form seed. So this embryo will get nutrition and harden up to form seed. Clear? And endosperm is, you can basically think it as a food for the zygote to develop, for the embryo to develop on. What should embryo feed on? What should be the nutrition? What should be a nutrition apparatus for embryo? So it is basically acting as something from which nutrition can be obtained by the embryo. So this is basically acting as an endosperm, right? So I hope you got all this. This is very easy, very basic things. Now we know about triple fusion. Now what is syngamy? This comes as a doubt. What is syngamy? So syngamy is basically the normal fertilization that we all know. That ovule plus one male gamete is forming zygote. This process is called as syngamy. Right, so now this is syngamy. I hope you all know this thing. So now very easy. Now let us summarize all things that we have learned. This is known as syngamy. This is a very light color, so I'm just gonna highlight it with this. So this is known as syngamy. Now any other terms we know about triple fusion, about syngamy, about the formation of what is endosperm, what we know the products of both these things, that this syngamy is producing embryo, which later hardens up to seed. Now let us discuss post fertilization also in this video, though it wasn't mentioned, but I will discuss post fertilization also. So now post fertilization. Now let us learn about the post fertilization. Now what happens after fertilization? That is known as post fertilization. So for post fertilization, as I say, now post fertilization. Now think about the post fertilization is that what happens after fertilization. So now as I told you that this embryo, which is actually the end product of syngamy, right? Embryo, this is why. Okay, now this embryo hardens up. With this embryo hardens up and forms seed. So embryo will harden up to form seed. Embryo will harden up to form seed. Similarly, on the other hand, we know about the ovary. What is the ovary? Let me make you revise it, because many people are actually confused within this ovary and ovule wala thing. So now let me just tell you that ovary is this swollen part, right? The swollen part that we were discussing about. This swollen part is actually the ovary. Now this ovary will harden up to form the fruit. And the seed will be formed by the seed will basically be formed by the ovules, which are by the syngamy. So that is why we find seeds in the fruits. The question is about the seedless fruits, which you will learn further in class 11th and 12th. So we won't be discussing in this video, but maybe in the other video. So till then, stay tuned. Bye bye. Hope you all got this thing. You can even take a screenshot of what I have been most of the things that I have drawn here. So here you can take the screenshot and all and revise from this slide very easy. So thank you so much.